What's going on, everybody? Time for that recap. Hopefully, the holiday week found you guys good. This was our last trade, short from 679.40 down to the pre-market open, as we see here, and potentially yesterday's highs is what I was looking for the gap fill, but we did not get that one. But we suckered up a nice, beautiful 37.56 on the cash, and we did 1,000 across the trade of five, so $4,000 over there, and slowly building. And I was even joking with our friends here online about getting to 25,144 plus yesterday morning. So let's go over a couple different things. So today's trade we'll start with here, and this one is a real simple one before I do over the big recap stuff here, right? So yesterday's high-low, as always, I do utilize a Fibonacci from those points. Yesterday's highs in the orange dashed line, yesterday's lows in the blue dots. As we've seen, a nice little dip in pre-market. We actually shorted this one on all the trade of highs all the way down to yesterday's highs on that beautiful trend back down. And then we see to push back up. And I said, well, if it's over yesterday's highs, there's always one extension I look for before the 1618 on certain holiday low volume times like this. And that's the old tried and true 127.2. Very old school Fibonacci there. And a first tag metric applies here to me, where if this boost up and post up into our first tag of 127.20, we have an opportunity to come down to the pre-market open as we had called and yesterday's highs. Now, we did not get the final target there, as we usually close out about 80-90% of this. We closed out 100 this time and waited for the retrace, right? So we closed out into these 5-minute moving averages out of our short into that pre-market open as we discussed, and waited for the lower high. As you see here, I put a short lower high in zone. I just deleted that zone a second ago, but that zone is right here, and we needed to come under pre-market high. So the whole day I was yelling at the whole chat instead of unless it's under the pre-market high, you're not shorting anything. And we were starting to reject right here that pre-market high really nice, and I'm like, we're not sure yet. I think the VIX has to go over 18, okay? And the volatility index had a very interesting day today as well. So this is going to set us up for the next couple of trade days on low volume. If you guys are trading it, I will not be. But on the volatility index, the opening here led me to a beautiful attempt to get that 100 EMA. We scam shied here, pay attention to that, and a gap here at the open. So we opened in a gap down, and I was looking for a break over $18 and a push to the 100 EMA for that lower high short to play out. As you see here, we started breaking down into micro lower high, lower lows, and we just left this one alone because we did not trade it. We already hit our big first short. So it popped up into lower high territory here and did not follow through. And of course, as we bitched at the chat all day, we had to be under pre-market high, which is this light blue level right here anyway. Too short. And then I put right here, sweep and close under is still valid for a short position if you wanted to watch for a sweep and close. We didn't get a sweep at all. We had an absolute push through, closed above, and trend highs. So there is no confirmation of either one right here, getting back under the pre-market like we wanted to, or sweeping this 127, which is going to be just a sweep of the prior high, closing underneath and then getting that down track to yesterday's highs. That was it. It did not happen. See, as simple as that. No confirmation. So we'll go back to the QQQ and NQ here as I want to get into some of this stuff. We had a beautiful short opportunity here as well, and we needed to see yesterday's highs was my T1. We pretty much hit it right here on Qs because, of course, 40 to 1 is what it works with here on NQ. So 40 NQ points equals $1 here on the old QQQ. So if you see how close it got with yesterday's highs, that's like 03 cents. That's pretty much target hit because you can't put that equation into ticks on NQ. So we do watch for that as well. So we did get a great QQQs trade down there. This morning, anything under the pre-market high is what we wanted, down to yesterday's highs. Good little setup there. Now, how did we know we were going up? We were joking about in the early part of the video going up to NQ's 144, right? So I'm going to go over to the NQ chart and show you guys all the confirmations on how we called the entirety of this week, okay? So we did obviously play our fibs off of, we'll start with a clean slate here. Might as well. From the Thursday dump, we played some very specific times, and we already went over this in our Discord a million times, chat, even on here. And we had a cluster of no tag GPs, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 in a row with no tag. And what I did was I grabbed that high and low of that dump, And if you're not familiar with a no tag GP is, that means every one of these candles, if I were to draw a Fibonacci on the high and low point of every one of these 5-minute candles we just counted together, it would never hit the Fibonacci golden pocket. It would never come into here. Okay. As you see, the candle creations here and dropped right away. It never actually came back to the GP before continuing down. This is an impulse move, creating easy liquidity magnets. Okay. This comes out in the course as well on how I trade these nonstop. So what we did was we took the high-low range of that 5-minute and one of the 6 and one of the 15 minutes as well. For me, this big guy that's touching the 100 EMA, I'm going to turn him green. And we'll leave the 5-minute range we just made up. And this was how we found the bottom tick range. So I used 2 overlapping Fibonacci's at very specific algo points, right? I teach this in all the live classes. If you go on the channel, you can see how I draw Fibonacci candles and why I draw them there. So with these 2 instances, we have an overlap of the 5-minute cluster range we just went over and the 666 in the green of the 15 that tags the 100 EMA. I drew a channel right here for the whole week and said, as long as we're over 24,000, I think I put in chat 63, so I gave it an interesting algo off this guy here. We were going to go up and recycle. So let's stretch these 15-minute green fibs out, and we're going to utilize a different color for the 5-minute just so it's easy to see. I guess we'll just put it white. So we got white in the 5 minutes, 15 in the green. Now these are confluence points on the way back up to the final target, and this is where we got our 25,144 target from, as long as we were recycling. What is a recycle on the fibs? Well, this might be a little bit of a no-brainer and a recap for a lot of you guys, but if we drop a high-low fib like we did here on either the 15 or that 5 cluster, we look for that to move to the downside first, right? We get to that downside, that's the cycle. So the Fibonacci cycle plays out, and you guessed it, a recycle occurs when it comes back up and it rolls up using the same Fibonacci levels it used obviously in the cycle down, but now they're on the upside and we have specific targets we look for that. So the 666, which is a very interesting fib I can't explain until the course, 423.6, that was the channel. As long as we started closing over that, we were going to come all the way back to the 1618s near 24,900. And then if we got a further push past that, I'll see at 25,144 is what we put as a, not even a joke, as a target as we're coming up. So as you can see here in these fibs overlap, once we got outside of that 24,100 area where our 666 and 423 are, we started walking the fibs up, right? We pushed up into the next cluster of fibs here near 25,000 or 24,500. It moved up into those channels, right? And as I like to do, I like to utilize the most stretched GPs and targets for these a lot of the time. So if you weren't looking for a 423 from here, I would only use the 15. Okay, but I wanted to show you the confluence here of both overlapping parts first. So down to here to make it look a little cleaner, this was the main Fibonacci we used for the pivot. Now remember, that is the 15-minute that touched the 100 EMA and the 666. I think, I don't know if I mentioned that, but 2 moving average tags there on the 15. Now the 666 is a very interesting extension, like I said, but the walk up from here was it. So from the 666 range, it walks itself up in the recycle to the 423, 3618. That becomes the over-under channel. It breaks out. It goes to the 2618. This is usually a flush. It usually goes through right to the 1618, and that's generally my final target. Now, this price action did something very interesting, which helped me out to identify the next leg up. Okay, so the green fib on the 15 had retraced all the way to, which the final target usually for me is the 100. Okay, and if you notice where the price action came to, after recycling the fib, it didn't actually hit the 100. It came from the 423, the 3618. It broke up to that upside and almost hit final target. Now, I like coming back to the 100 fib, which is just the bottom of that 15-minute candle where we drew the fib, and a nice half-whole psychological number of a massive 25,000. Just happened to be at that 100% as well. And then the market did something very nice. It shot down, right, and gave us a huge wash. This is a wash that we actually called short and shorted the entirety, and then we said we were going to buy the crap out of it to go up to 25,144. How did we do that? Well, the last couple days here of the action for this dip was all resulted in that 100, okay? So I said, well, if it shies that 100 scam right here, falls down, hits a rolling up support. We had the 200 SMA on the 15-minute here, but more importantly, we had the 2618 tested again. So we came from the 100 shy, never hit it, down to the 2618. And if that holds, we're going to use that 2618 that needed a back test of confirmation, one single level, one single fib, right? Broke over, could not hit resistance, back tested support, and right to the golden pocket. And that's where we got our levels from. Now, the top of this range was 25,144. It was coming in like right here, and this is where we were joking about that hit because we had a couple different algo targets that were going to magnet above this wick. So that was literally one fib to rule the mark to play the retrace from zone all week and into the holiday week. Now, what's next, you may ask? Well, I'll give you a freebie here since you're tuning in, right? So the volatility index, this is how I would play the next open on the next couple days of trade, which are going to be dead here. The VIX did something unique that we like to teach here in my classes and in my lives, where if the VIX opens up like it did here today and in a gap down, the VIX always goes to yesterday's lows more often than not on a daily gap down. We got that. And then it usually moves past yesterday's lows to the 100 EMA in the green. Do you see a 100 EMA green in the hit? Nope. So we do not have a 100 EMA hit, and it shied all the way down to my last couple support targets I had. Now, mind you, it has only one left. We're going to go back to the 30-30 chart down here. And this was our final support I wanted to see for, bam, the volatility index. Now, there's a certain couple gaps you can't see here because it's a 30-minute, but my 1707 was shied right here, and I needed that to hit a long time ago at 1112 back here, and then bounce from there, but it didn't, right? It just ripped up. And we left one other level way down here and, excuse me, another gap here. But we did come into the final gaps as support into the low 17s. So we can get now a temporary bounce on VIX because we did lose the 18 today. We came all the way down to 17, half whole dollars, right? And more importantly, the 5-minute gaps that are associated with some of this stuff here, we needed this filled at 1720, and we needed this filled right here at 1707. There's a very interesting algo back there. Again, not on the 30-minute. We're just using it to look back real quick. We hit the 1707. We did not get 1684 yet, but 17 as a whole dollar and 1707 now has been hit for support. What do we do with that? Well, at the opens, as long as the volatility index is on the 5-minute, not this one, there we go, and it holds that 100 EMA, two different things will happen, right? It holds 17, not the 100 EMA, sorry. It holds 17 and heads back up for that tag of the 100 EMA, and it can actually push into the 100 EMA, react a little bit, and then if it gains more strength, you will look for that VIX to actually return to this cluster. So the volatility index on the 5-minute chart from today's action has an opportunity to come up here to the mid-18s, okay? So we have this huge cluster. We have one 5-minute gap volume imbalance, two 5-minute gap volume imbalance, and all of these candle no tag GPs right here. We'll see 1850s again. Now, does it see 1684 before 1850s? Well, that's our job to figure out and watch the damn chart. Can't predict that, right? So if the 17 bounce sounds good, would be at the 100 EMA, react a little bit, and then continue up past that 18 again to come down, or to come up to hit some of these targets above. What would you do with that knowledge? Well, with what you got, I'm going to show you one other thing here on the 15 as well that shied. And that's that 15-100 EMA. Today, we also did a runner, consolidated at yesterday's highs, orange dash line, and pushed, resulting in a no tag 100 EMA. If you go down to the 5-minute chart here, we'll show you a couple different imbalances that are left open, like these no tag GPs, that can be an effective trade. So this is the whole trade. When the VIX goes above 17, goes into the 100 EMA, you're going to look for this specific 5-minute candle, 925 central for me. You're going to fib the high low. You're going to move that up here. Okay. And the VIX and fib here working together could get you two different plays. Okay. And the two different plays I want to see here are over under the 2618. If we are over the 2618, right, and it holds the 100 EMA here, we could come up to the 3618. Not my favorite trade. The one I want to see is the failure, right? 25,319. Yesterday's close, and a little bit of 25,300 where we crack this 100 EMA and come back down towards that 1618 on retrace, right? Now, does it have to happen? No, but the 1618 is my target. So I want to say anything under the 2618 would lead you down to the 1618 here for a mini recycle short. And the reason I want to see that short at open, even if it legs up just a little bit, I need to see the break of 25,320 just about there with the 1618 and a magnet back down to the 1618. The only way you're going to get down there is VIX finding support where it needs to at the 17, rolls back up in there, gets that 100 EMA and potentially higher even into Friday, which can happen. And that would lead us to believe that this scalp right here is still on deck. So anything under the 2 down to this 1618, that's my favorite trade for tomorrow's opening action. 67 points available. Keep an eye on it. If you want to hang out with us live and do this stuff live, we call it live before it happens. If you don't follow us over here on X, please do. X, we have Garage Traitor 33. That is me here on X. Boom. No other accounts exist. If you look here, we do post a lot of fun stuff before it happens. We called that bounce at 655.82 all the way up to 672.36, resulting in almost 50 points on ES. We even posted on X before it happened. It was fantastic. We called this one short right here for our chat. Had the perfect entry. We shorted the crap out of this, hit the target one. Hundreds of points on NQ on that one. We just had a massive week, to be honest. So if you want to come hang with us live, we mark up all of our trades. We talk through of our trades live. This is a teaching service. It is not an alert service. If you are expecting to pay somebody a couple dollars and they're just gonna feed you thousands and thousands of dollars, you've already lost the game. That is the worst mindset I've ever heard of. Please don't join. There's a Black Friday sale if you would like to. It's on the website, it's on the Discord, it's on X. We'll be posting it up later tonight as well. I hope you guys have a great holiday for Thanksgiving. Take care. Trade safe for these next low volume days. Look for that move. Take care.